I went with, I was going to go with 23 30 seconds plywood, and I looked online at Home Depot's website, and it was 21 bucks a sheet. And when I got over there, they didn't have any 23 30 seconds for 21 bucks a sheet. It was 30 bucks a sheet. So I went with OSB. It's not what I wanted, but it'll work. And I'll actually be able to afford more quicker. This was 13 bucks a sheet, 23 30 seconds. So my very first thing is to get one sheet up here. Get it nailed down tight, and then put all my nuts, bolts, and screws up there. And I'm thinking of putting all my screws just as high as I can possibly reach, because my wife uses screws like they're going out of style. And if I put them up high, she won't be able to reach them. And I've only got thousands, just like my gloves. I've got probably 100 pairs of gloves, and she actually took one the other day. All right. Are you down with me today? It's going to be dusty. Let me get a sheet in here and get it tacked up. We'll get started. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not going to put anything up above there. I just can't reach. So all this bench and everything is coming out. All that wall has got to come off. So I think I'm going to wait on them. And when I get that wall there up on the other, behind the bench there, for now, what I may do is take a Sawzall and cut this bench and right here at this, cut that shelf off because I just need to get my plywood in there, my OSB board rather, and finish that off. And this outlet, I've been looking at the wire coming in here and the box, and I think I may have 30 amps coming into this box. And with everything else off, 30 amps will more than run my welder. And that's all I'm concerned about. In time, I will go from here to here, weld something on there, and put my winch in the middle where I can lift stuff up and work on it. Anyway, I have a plan, and that's a good feeling to know that I'm planning on some progress here. The drill press is probably going to go right here, bolted to the floor. My bench grinder, I have a thing that I bolt to the wall, and it's probably going to go just on that side of that I-beam there. And yeah, I can see this being a decent shop. Well, who knows? I may even get a ceiling in it. $1 at a time. All right, I think that's all I'm going to do today. Tomorrow, a lot of this insulation and junk is sticking out past the, let me see how big that is. 16. I said 14 yesterday. 13. You ever seen a 2x13? Me neither. Yeah, 13. Huh. Weird. Okay. I almost want, I know, here's, I've been thinking about this while I've been sitting here working. I know some people have seen my handicap license plate. And I've always wondered if, somebody's eventually going to ask me about that. So I want to tell you about it. And maybe I'll go up and sit in my front porch because I'm done down here for the day. The driveway gate, you can stand in my driveway and look down on the top of my garage. That's the kind of hill we have here. It doesn't translate on camera. You can't really pick up how, the hill, the incline. But there's a heck of an incline, which is why I bought that $10,000 John Deere Gator. Because to get from down there where my tools are, pretty much anywhere else in the yard, it's all uphill. And here's my story. Junior high school. I knew there was something that wasn't right in junior high school. I couldn't run around a baseball diamond. I couldn't make it around a track, a quarter-mile track, without gasping, nearly passing out from not being able to get any breath. I had we grew up in a big family. I mean, you didn't just jump up and go to a doctor, and especially expensive test. You didn't get none of that. If you cut something off, you'd go get it sewed back on, or if you had a bone sticking out, you'd get that fixed. But basically, if you were living and breathing, you didn't go to a doctor. So I knew something wasn't right. I grew up in a welding shop filled with smoke constantly. I sandblasted for my dad when I was starting about 13 till when I left. I painted in a paint booth, no mask. Painted my dad made wood burning stoves, and a couple of my jobs were grinding parts for the stoves, no mask. Sandblasting the tank bodies that made the stove, no mask. Painting the stoves when they were done, no mask. Sweeping the shop, no mask. And being in a shop that, from floor to ceiling is nothing but welding smoke. And then on top of that, my dad installed some of these stoves, and I went with him, and my job was to cut the asbestos, the 1/4-inch thick 4x8 asbestos sheets. And no mask. This was back in the 70s. This was before anybody even knew that asbestos was bad for you. So when I joined the Army at 17, I had nowhere to go. It was the Army or homelessness. And I like to eat. So I barely made it through boot camp every day. I wasn't even a Christian then, but I begged whatever creator was up there to help me get through boot camp. I didn't know how I could make it one more day, but I did, by the skin of my teeth, because of not having enough air. And then when I got out and I did a couple jobs that required physical strength and activity, I knew that I was not going to be able to do construction or anything that required me to move around a lot or lift heavy things. So I became a truck driver, and that's all I did. That's all I could do. And then I was delivering a load of sulfuric acid to a plant. And in the plant, there was a mishap. And it ended up blowing me about 15 feet backwards onto a railroad track. I blew 3 discs out in my neck and 2 in my back. And this acid came out under such high pressure, it blew the hose off my truck, that it turned into foam mixed with the air. And that foam and the explosion blew my headphones off, because the plant was so loud you had to wear headphones. It blew my face shield off my helmet, blew my helmet off, and underneath my helmet I had goggles. And that was the only reason I did not get that stuff in my eyes. Some of y'all may remember pictures of me after I'd gotten back from the hospital and was at home recuperating. I had scabs all over my face, and that stuff had gotten down my throat, in my lungs, up my sinuses, on my eyelids, all over my face. And I was covered in scabs, and it hurt my feelings that nobody even noticed. Nobody could see any difference. So that damaged my lungs even more. And no, I did not get a settlement, but I did stop working. I was determined to be 100% disabled, and I've been on disability ever since. So there you have it. If anybody's ever been wondering, that's what the deal is with me. Some days I can do stuff, and I'm on some pretty heavy pain meds. And some days my pain meds kill the pain enough where I can get up and do stuff. and I have a very short window during the day where I can actually do stuff like nail plywood to a wall. Oh, and here's, in the meantime, I was also diagnosed with spinal stenosis and degenerative disc disease, which means that my back and neck just get worse every day, a little bit worse every day. So there's no fixing it. So over the years, I have just tried to live every day and do a little something. And there's no way I could ever go back to holding a full-time job, because there's days and days where I can't do anything. So when you see videos, it's when my pain meds are working and when I'm having a good day. And finally, I really want to tell you a funny story. I don't know how much I've talked, 6 minutes? Yesterday when I got up, I was in such distress with my breathing that I was going to go to the emergency room. Nothing seems to be working. But we have this little concierge here, medical concierge, concierge, in my little town. And I decided to stop there first to see if he could give me some breathing treatments. I was desperate to get a little air in my lungs, because I've already got those problems I've talked about. So he did all kinds of stuff. And the last thing he did was he had his nurse come in and give me 2 shots. One was another freaking steroid, big vial of steroids in my butt cheek. And the funny thing is, I got antibiotic in the left cheek and a steroid in the right cheek. And so yeah, I had to pull them down. And she grabs hold of my butt cheek and she gives it a big pinch. And she says, "Oh, you got to loosen up." And what she didn't know was that we had been there 3.5 hours. And that whole 3.5 hours, I was holding in a fart. I could not let go of my butt cheeks for nothing. And finally, she just gave me I didn't tell her, if I let go of my butt cheeks, baby, you're going to get and you're at the business end too, so you're going to get it all. So, anyway, she gave me the shot. Hurt like hell because I couldn't loosen up my muscles. Gave me the other shot. And came home. And I'll tell you what, 6 hours later, I felt like a new man. I felt like I could go out and make 10 knives. I couldn't sleep. I went to bed, laid there a couple hours, heart pounding, raring to go. So I got up and I stayed up till about midnight and went back to bed. And anyway, I feel good now. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know if this is ever going to leave. Chronic bronchitis takes as long as 3 months to get through. And then it leaves damage, as if I needed any more damage in my friggin' lungs. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Tomorrow I'm getting back after it. And I'm going to start early and work as long as my body will let me.